Hey guys, insert number 4, we're in Revelation 21 for this, and this has got more good Jesus stuff in it. So if you're still thinking that you can't find Jesus in Revelation, or it's not the Jesus you know, maybe look a little deeper, because it's there. Actually, maybe look not so deep, because it's there. There is more Christ in here than there is destruction and chaos and ugliness. And you'll also note too, every time you read about something ugly in here, or something that's not nice, there's Christ right after it bringing goodness. So, look further. Don't just read this little bit here and like enlarge your view of it. It's awesome stuff. Okay, so this is talking about the earth receiving her paradisical glory. This is becoming celestial. The earth attains its celestial glory. So the earth gets a resurrection as well. Super cool, right? Because not that I'm a greenie, but I'm totally for the earth, and I recycle, and I, try not to use as much fuel, and I don't want to strip it of its resources. I plant trees. I do, I try to do all the things that are good for the earth. Much like I would care for my own body, I would care for the earth as well. But sad thing is, it's dying just like we are. So yeah, great that it can come back and be beautified and restored. I'm looking forward to that as well, because I'll get to see that with these eyes. So cool, right? All right, so it says, I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and the old one was passed away, and it says there was no more sea. So I think there'll be ocean, but I think it's just going to look different to what he was maybe thinking. But anyway, look at Article of Faith 10, because that'll just give you the brief gem of this. He says actually in verse 2, New Jerusalem, and that talks about Zion and Jerusalem, so we'll look at that. But what I really like too is actually it's in 4 through 7, where he talks of these things of all, as in like an absolute all. And there's 3 things I pull out here. There's all tears in the first part of verse 4. There's all things in the first part of verse 5. And the first part of verse 7 is all things as well. So all tears, all things, and all things. So let's look at it. So verse 4 says, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Doesn't that sound like the best thing ever? No more pain? Yeah. Yes, thank you. No more mental illness? Yeah, thank you. No more hurting me from anyone saying anything mean. I'm like, yeah, to have that. No more me upsetting someone else because I put my foot in it. Yeah, let's have that. So that's number 1. Healing, in the most amazing way. Yes, I'd take that just by itself. But no, there's more. Not like a crappy infomercial either, like a legit, there's more. To verse 5, and he sat upon the throne and said, behold, I make all things new. Restoration. Everything's new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. Ooh, they are absolutely true. There's healing and there's restoration. Yay. Okay, let's carry on. Down in verse 7. He that overcometh shall inherit all things. You're compensated abundantly. Now that sounds like a conference talk we heard recently of the last few years. And I'm like, well, yes, it does. But there's a fullness of joy, because 3 is what? Fullness. And these things are joyful. Fullness of joy, right there. So you're healed, restored, and compensated abundantly. Now that is the Jesus I know. And it's right in Revelation. Right after Satan getting bound up, not having opportunities anymore, after being going through the final judgment, you think, oh, I'm going to be doomed and gloomed. No, you're going to be healed, restored, and compensated abundantly. That's the Jesus I know. That is fantastic. And then he talks about what's going to happen to the rest of it. One of the other good ones to look at is verse 19, talking about the foundations of this area. Now, one of the things that is talked about here is measuring and what it looks like. I can't find the actual measuring bit, but it talks about the walls and just how it's going to be. Now, why that's brought in there is to give us a sense of how grand it's going to be. Anciently, Jerusalem, Rome, cities, even small ones, had walls around them. Now, For example, Nazareth, too poor to have a wall, no wall, indicating not a rich city, not a city that is flourishing. So for somewhere like Rome, who had the biggest wall at the time, really flourishing, like that's the place, that's the where the, opportunities are, that's where all the stuff is. So that's what it's indicating. So when we're talking about the massive wall and the height of the wall and the structures within it, which is what he does, John describes it as that's what he's indicating. I can't quite remember where in here he does it. You'll find it though. And even if you don't, just know that's what he's indicating. He's indicating that this is the most grand, the most impressive, you could not even imagine how beautiful place. And how blessed was John to see this? I mean, if he's got to survive all these years going through all sorts of, seeing all the sorrow in the world and the wars and the fighting and all the things, to see that at the end, to know that there is ultimate hope in Christ is just such a blessing. And, we might be able to not see it like John did. We can know it though. We can have a testimony of it. So work on that. It's just beautiful. He showed the great city. Where is it? No, it talks about all the gates though, and it refers to the 12 tribes of Israel. And there you go, in 17, measuring the wall. So that gives you an idea there. It's just beautiful. It also says that in 25, the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, and there shall be no night there. Meaning that there's no, you don't need to sleep. There's no downtime. It's just, there's no cycle of humanness anymore. It's a complete restoration of how we were to begin with, but having progressed to even more beautiful state. So everything, it's not going to be how we begin with, but maybe how we intended to be. It's hard to describe, but have a look at that. Elder Renlunds talks to that fullness of joy, all things wiped away, all things renewed, restored, and all things inherited. Elder Renlunds' talk is Infuriating, Unfairness, and I can't quite remember where it's from actually. You have to go look that up. It's a few years ago. I did this artwork inspired by it. That's the quote there. Held that long enough, you can screenshot that if you want to. But look for descriptors of the celestial kingdom. How amazing it will be to live in Christ's presence. So it's fullness of presence and fullness of light. It's verse 22 and verse 23. Talk about the fullness of those things. And verse 19 to 20 also indicates a multitude of different people. So mixed tribes, they'll be everywhere. That's again indicating that we all have a place because we all belong to a tribe or are assigned to a tribe. We're not on our own. We belong to something and we belong there. And everyone gets healing and their needs met abundantly, specific to our needs. So connect that up with 22 verse 2 in the tree of life. Now that's the next one, and because the tree of life is Jesus Christ, and the symbolism that Elder Bednar talked about recently too, that Jesus Christ, the tree of life is Jesus Christ. That's the idea. But the healing and the abundantly met needs, specific to our needs, not just generalized, they're specific to our needs, and that is incredible. So have a look at that. I love that fullness of joy message though, and that talk from Elder Renlund, Infuriating, Unfairness. Go look that up. I really encourage you to have a listen to that one as well. It's so cathartically healing and promising, and honestly, I think I'm all good now, but it's about 3 years old, and every time I read it, and I've read it a lot, just cry and cry and cry with the promises and the hope in there. It's beautiful. So this is the scriptures that it comes from. All right, hang around. We're going to finish off in Revelation 22. I'll see you there.